good. Show on the road. Brilliance. All right. Here we are. Hey Instagram, hey Facebook. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Rachel Leah Gerson of Doorway to Self, where I combine counseling techniques with psychic tools to help people understand mental health from a more holistic angle. Um, Really excited for this month's Q&A because of course it is National Mental Health Awareness Month as well. So just really honored and excited to be here, continuing to be the change, and so grateful to all of you who are showing up and asking brilliant questions. Already so many have come in uh, from the anonymous means of coming in. So if you've never attended before, if you want to submit anonymous questions, you're welcome to do that before the event. The window closes an hour beforehand, but you can always email doorwaytoself@gmail.com, or you can DM me here on Instagram or PM me on Facebook, and I will answer questions that way as well. So everything's first come, first serve. If you're wanting to ask your questions live, you can just go ahead and put them in the comment box, whether you're on Instagram or Facebook. If you see me looking back and forth, it's because I am managing both platforms at the same time. Hey, Chad, thanks for being here. And yeah, so let's get this party started. I'm really excited about this today. All right, we're going to just jump right in with some of these anonymous questions. So, very easy one to start out. I was reading about clairaudience. Does meditation help to hear the voices more clearly? The answer is yes, 100%, absolutely. Yeah, meditation is going to help us to tune into our psychic senses in general, because what meditation does is it deactivates our reptilian brain, so that part of the brain that's working in the back here, that's keeping us in survival mode and keeping us here and in the ego and really focused on the what to do, how to do it, how to survive type stuff. It kind of makes that go into background noise and activates the parts of our brains that are a little bit more subconscious, which is where our psychic senses live. It also activates the pineal gland, which is the gland that secretes hormones that are in charge of our psychic senses. So yes, absolutely, meditation is going to help you hear voices more clearly if you are clairaudient and trying to work on that, if you set that intention. It's also going to help to awaken other psychic senses for you, potentially as well. So great question to kick us off. Thank you for that, whomever asked that. Okie dokie. So let's see. What else came in anonymously here? I'm feeling the need to kind of like dive in between things here. So let's see. Yeah. So I guess we'll just go with more clairaudient question here, because it kind of streamlines into that. So this person says, curious, if I keep listening to the clairaudient voices, it's like a constant stream. I am healing and allowing wellness in myself, and I'm finding not only my balance and how to put on the brakes, but sometimes the distance seems so far. It feels like I'm being stretched, and in the continuous stretching of my field, I can deplete my energy. I have been working with this for many years now, and it is a gift in many ways, and I still have some fine tuning to do. So that's a fantastic question. I think we all have fine tuning to do in this area. I for sure still am. I'm always learning. No matter which ability it is, I'm always still learning. And so it sounds like what this question is referring to specifically is kind of this area of the void, which is something that I've been researching a lot as of probably the beginning of 2021, honestly. And of course, as it would happen, then like every client who has signed up with me this year has been like, let's explore the void. And I'm like, oh, hey, universe, I see what you're doing here. So, yeah, so it sounds like what you're kind of talking about here in this anonymous question is about the void. This idea of this kind of stretching. And when I refer to this idea of the void, I'm speaking about anything that goes beyond the fifth dimension. So this is actually a question that I've gotten a lot from clients lately anyways, so I'm going to kind of snowball this into the answer here. What is the 5D? And the answer is the 5D is the place where all of the other dimensions meet the 3D. The 3D being our physical reality that we are experiencing here on this planet, in these bodies, on this earth, in this material realm, right? That would be the 3D. 4D is our emotional capacity, tapping into our emotions. 5D is 5D is where those two things integrate with the energy world. So being able to perceive energy through the body, in the body, with the body, being able to perceive energy in our physical world. Most people are actually already, well, I shouldn't say most. Most people who are watching this are likely already integrated into the 5D. And like just don't even know it. And so I think that that's a really important thing to shed light on, is that you are likely already living in the 5D. If you know how to perceive energy and you're doing it through your physicality and through your physical body, guess what? You're in the 5D. Anything beyond that, which is like pure energy realms, anywhere you might be experiencing astral travel or places you might go in meditation, kind of some of those energies where maybe we're like not 100% integrated into the physical, those would all be dimensions beyond the 5D. And that is what I'm referring to as the void. And so when this person is asking about clairaudience, and when they're tapping into their gifts, sometimes they feel like they can get stretched out and go way out. It sounds like that's what's happening, is that there's this kind of tapping in that goes beyond the 5D, even beyond any remote ideation of the physical, or connection into the physical. And so it honestly sounds like you're doing some astral exercises, which is pretty cool. But I would caution you against that as well and say, if you're feeling depleted, it might better serve you to focus on maybe grounding and getting into your body and learning what it means to be here in this thing, on this planet, on this earth, and really understanding what that is like first. Maybe doing those 5D integrations to understand what that clairaudience looks and feels and sounds like to you here, before you go off traveling in the astral. And that might leave you feeling less stretched out and less depleted. So I guess that's my best answer for that. I'm seeing new people coming on. Hey Anouk, hey Becky, thanks for being here, y'all. I don't know who just popped onto Facebook. I can't see it, but thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Okay, let's see. Right now I'm answering some anonymous questions that have come in, but at any point in time, if y'all have questions, you can feel free to pop them in the comment box, and I will get to them in between these anonymous ones as well. So, all right. I know I'm clairvoyant for sure because images change in front of my eyes. Yeah, that's very true. Anything you see, that would be clairvoyance. Psychic sight. What those images are telling me is confusing, and I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong. No. I joke all the time about how the prefix clair, CLAIR, which is the prefix that denotes any psychic ability, is so ironic, because the prefix clair actually means clear in Latin. And I would argue that 99% of the time when we receive psychic information, it is not clear at all. So if you find the images that you're seeing through your clairaudience to be confusing, chances are you're probably right on point. So there's that. The other side of it is I have a personal assistant, if you want to call it. So that raises a red flag for me, but we're going to talk about that in a minute. That if I get what I ask, I get what I ask for, but not all the time. So again, red flags going up here. I will talk about this in a minute. There has to be an easier way. Oh, also, that's if I don't understand. Sorry, this person kind of wrote interesting, so I'm trying to circumvent some of these things. Um, if I can't handle it, then things appear more vivid. I have no doubt it's God, but I don't know if I'm being tested to do all the wrongs before He gives me more power or what. Okay, so quite a few things to address in this. Firstly, let's talk about this red flag stuff I was talking about. Personal assistant, that automatically makes my insides like, I don't know about this. Let me tell you guys something. I had a personal assistant. I had a personal assistant when I was, I don't know, the ages of like 16 to 21. That personal assistant lived inside of me and cohabitated in my body. I know that this is something that I've talked about before. I'm talking about it again because it's important. If somebody else is living inside of your body, probably not kosher. Um, this idea of the personal assistant, I know that I know that whomever this anonymous question is from didn't say specifically they're living inside the body or anything like that, so I just for some reason felt the need to speak to that part specifically. But in terms of this question, um I just get some creepy crawlies here. I want to challenge you, this person who asked this anonymous question. I want to challenge you to really ask if this personal assistant is there for your highest, greatest good. This is where the act of discernment is so, so, so not only powerful, but necessary, right? Because if we get involved in the spiritual world, right, and we're constantly, especially the way that this question is worded, it's like if I ask, I get what I ask for, but not all the time. There has to be an easier way, right? Being a part of the spiritual world and being tapped into the energy world is not, it's not so that you can get everything that you want. That's not the point of it. The point of being tapped in is to be tapped in. The point of being tapped in is to be more aware, to be more conscious, to be able to live a life that is more fruitful and peaceful and light and love. And I don't say that in a sense to be cheesy. I used to be, and I've spoken about this many times before, I used to be the person who was constantly chasing that spiritual addiction and trying to find all the answers and trying to gain control over other people and trying to get exactly what I wanted, by manipulating the energies and working with other forces that were energetically manipulative. And so I want to caution you, if you are coming at the energy world from this place of wanting control and from this place of wanting to just get what you want and take what you want, then you're probably working with another force that's also taking advantage of you as well and utilizing your vessel and utilizing your energy, to go forth and do its bidding. Honestly, I'm just going to be straight with you. And so this is where I'm saying use your discernment. Firstly, are you coming at the spiritual world from a place of ego, from a place of trying to control? Are you coming at the spiritual world because you feel like you're owed something? If that's the case, I highly, highly recommend you start doing some work on yourself. Um, Start looking at those shadows. Why do you feel like you're owed something? Why do you feel like you need to control? Etc. So those are all things to ask yourself. And then as you start doing that work to discern, like, where do you feel like you were wronged in the past? Where are you trying to right this by gaining control in the metaphysical spaces? When you start doing that work, it's going to become easier for you to be able to discern what spiritual beings are there to help you, and that are actually there in your highest, greatest good and the highest, greatest good of all humanity, versus what entities are there to manipulate you or use you or make you feel like you're more powerful than necessarily well, not than necessarily you are, because here's the thing too, and I want to address this part later, that comes later. I have no doubt that it's God, but if I don't know if I'm being tested to do all the wrongs before he gives me more power. That statement right there again is just like ding ding ding, red flags for me all over the place. Because God or source or universe or whatever verbiage you use, that's not like, nothing can give you power other than yourself. Like, the power's already there. You have the power within you. Um you have the power in your soul. Um that's where it stems from. And so nothing externally can give you power. Things externally can mirror back what your power looks like. Things externally can remind you of your power, but nothing can give you your power ultimately. It's just about you unlocking it and unleashing it and allowing it to come forward, and feeling worthy of it, and feeling um allowing of it, and unafraid of it, and unapologetic about it. And so I'm just going to take a moment and breathe here and ground some of this out, because I'm feeling the energy starting to kind of spin. So let's just. Yeah. I've come to find, you guys, and I know I've spoken to this a little bit in the last couple of months, that part of my purpose here is to serve by leading by example. And so these little moments where you're seeing me clear, where you're seeing me take moments to care for the energy that's in my field and that's happening around here, and even that's happening with you guys, because I also just cleared for whomever's watching this right now too, whether it's the current live stream or the replay. That was something that you needed to see and experience and feel. And so, yeah, just know that it's okay to like take a breath and take a break before completing a project, and clear out what needs to be cleared out before the rest can be brought in. Okay, let me continue to address this. You have the power. And so if you are working with these entities that are telling you that they are going to lead you to gaining more power, again, just red flag. So you're right. You said there has to be an easier way. There absolutely is an easier way. It just gets a lot harder before you can get there. So it's kind of, I this funny metaphor is coming in for me. I don't know how many Lord of the Rings nerds are out there watching this. I'm a Lord of the Rings nerd for sure. But this metaphor is coming in for me of, Frodo. When Frodo takes the ring to the fiery pits of Mordor, it's a journey, it's a trek, and it's dangerous and it's scary, and he's needing to confront all of these things about himself and his loved ones and his community and society as a whole, and he's having to confront the darkness and the evil in the world, and maybe even getting sucked in by it at times, and needing to say no and find his own sovereignty and his own power over himself and all of this stuff. And when he eventually throws the ring in, everything lifts and it's all peaceful. And so the moment, if we think back to the moment before he finds the ring, right? If we think back to that moment, the darkness was still there. The darkness was very much there. And so that part was difficult, right? Living in that land was still difficult. The journey to get past it was even more difficult. But once he threw the ring in and came to that peace and brought peace to the land, everything got way, way, way better than it even was prior to the journey. And that's kind of how I see the spiritual journey. right? Before we're awakened, or before we come into our first dark night of the soul, or before we come into that first shadow work confrontation of ourselves, things are not great. Like, we may think they're great. We may have that narrative in our brains of like everything was hunky dory before this, but it really wasn't. Ignorance is only bliss as long as you're in the ignorance, right? But as soon as you're awakened to the ignorance, it's no longer bliss. And so then it becomes about traversing this territory that's maybe a little bit scarier, darker, or more challenging as you're confronting yourself and confronting the darkness within and confronting the darkness without and really doing all of that work. But shoot, on the other side of that big portion of the work, it's so much more peaceful, and it is the easier way. Coming to the light eventually is the easier way. And then for this person who asked this anonymous question, there isn't going to be a need to have a personal assistant. Like, you can have your guides will be around you, right? Your guides will be serving you and helping you, and all of your soul family, all these people on earth who you're surrounding yourself with, who are there in your highest greatest good. They're also going to be there helping you, right? I'm not saying this has to be a path that you're taking alone. What I'm saying is that you're not going to need to become dependent upon anybody else. You're going to be able to be dependent on yourself and to ask for help when you need it. And that's so much easier and so much more powerful than throwing all the power at the other at outside forces. Yeah. So, yeah, and then one last thing I want to speak to with this, again, this idea of, before he gives me more power, I really want to encourage you to look at where you don't believe you have power. Where do you not believe you have your own power? Where are you afraid of your own power? Where do you feel you're not deserving of your own power? Where do you feel other people will be afraid of your own power? Um, all things to look at, all really fantastic shadows to start with. So, yeah, I hope that that's helpful. Just taking a moment here. All right. GUI Will, thanks for being here. I'm assuming your name is Will. If it's not, you can tell me what your name is. Appreciate it. I'm just checking on Facebook here to see if anybody else has commented. On this new way of Facebook being, sometimes comments come in and I do not see them. So if I didn't get your comment, I apologize for that. If I don't see a question of yours, and I will be sure to address it later if for some reason I don't get to it. All right. Let's do it. More anonymous questions. When I see number patterns constantly, I take it they're angel numbers, so I look them up. Okay, so we're going to pause there and just address that. When it comes to numerology, single numbers are numbers. Numbers that repeat in doubles, 11, 22, 33, 44, etc., are called master numbers. Any numbers that are 3 or more are angel numbers. And also repeating sequences, or sequences of numbers in general. So like 1, 2, 3, 4 would be an angel number, or 4, 4, 4, 4 would be an angel number, or 1, 2, 1, 2 would be an angel number. Anything that is repeating in sequence or going up or down or etc., those would all be angel numbers. So just wanted to address that quickly. When I see number patterns constantly, I take it they're angel numbers, so I look them up. Most of the time it says that you're on course and to do your purpose to help others and humanity. Great. But what I don't understand is how or with what. I'm trying to clear my mind and focus. It seems to be how to hear the messages instead of going by numbers, but trying to clear my mind is a chore by itself. This is a fan-freaking-tastic question. I'm really excited to answer this. So, when we see things like numbers, there are guides, right? They're a guidance system. So it's um the numbers are guiding us to look within, essentially, right? So you can teach yourself numerology, and that's going to be really helpful, right? If you're, let's say, seeing the number 1, 2, 3, 4, like I said, well, what can we learn from the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4? One is all about new beginnings, wonderment, finding magic in the world. 2 is about balance. 3 is about cycles and transitions in communication. 4 is about finding new foundations and stability and working with the elements. So we can take that and kind of see, oh, okay, what's that leading us? Where is that leading towards purpose? So that might be helpful. Adding all of them up. 1 + 2 is 3, + 3 is 6, + 4 is 10. Reducing that, 1 + 0 is 1. So we find ourselves back in this beginning mindset, the magician, etc. So that might be helpful. We can also look at the fact that they're ascending numbers. So we can look at it kind of like a staircase, right? Where are we being led up to? Things are moving forward. Things are moving up. We're taking off, taking flight. All of those things we can look at. So yes, that is incredibly helpful if you want to take the time to learn numerology. It's honestly not that complicated as far as like the individual numbers and stuff like that goes. So that might be really, really helpful. But ultimately, you're right. I don't understand how or with what I'm trying to clear my mind and focus, right? That, I love that. I love that phrasing, because the numbers are there to guide you. Just like if an animal shows up, it's there to guide you. If a flower shows up, it's there to guide you. A flower that speaks to you, it's there to guide you, right? All of these things are signs that are there to guide you, but ultimately you are the only person who knows exactly where that guidance is taking place and happening, right? Hey, Jacqueline. Hey, Emma. Thanks for being here. So that's important to look at. Gosh, you guys, I really need to do a podcast episode on this. We get so easily thrown into the cerebral in the spiritual world, which is the exact opposite of what being spiritual actually is, right? If we were to actually be spiritual people, we would be being, not doing. We would be paying attention to the signs that we're seeing, but not like running down the rabbit hole with them, right? It's not about like, ooh, what does this mean? And what does Google say about this? And blah, 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 blah. No, that's getting in the head about it. That's trying to understand something that maybe you don't need to understand. It might just literally be about seeing the sign and saying, okay, here's a sign. What does that mean to me? And going within. So that leads me to addressing the second part of this question is I'm trying to clear my mind and focus. That seems to be how I hear the messages instead of going by numbers, but trying to clear my mind is a chore by itself. And this is where people get stuck and why they tend to go to that running mind thing where they're trying to figure out all of the details. I'm going to take a sip here. Because it's easier, right? How we've been patterned in our current society is to run with the logic, to run with the brain, to run with the thoughts. And so if we have something to focus on, right? Oh, 1 could mean this, and 2 could mean this, and 3 could mean this, and 4 could mean this, and 1, 2, 3, 4 all together could mean this, and this is, this page on Google says this, and that resonates with me, right? It's easier for us to pick that focus and run with it because it makes us feel like we're doing something. It makes us feel like we're headed somewhere, like we're getting work done, like we're coming to answers somehow. I just looked at the clock and it's 1432, so that's kind of funny. There's definitely a message here about coming down, right? 432. My clock set to military time. So it's just kind of, I don't know, that was a funny moment, especially because we've been talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, but anyways, regardless, so it's about noticing, right? Noticing and saying, okay, what does this mean to me? So trying to clear the mind is a chore by itself. I think this is something that most people get stuck in, right? Because like I said, this our society has patterned us to constantly be up here and constantly be ruminating and finding the details to focus on. And so I would suggest doing the work to learn how to unlearn that. Um, and that's a huge deal, as this person is already saying, right? Trying to clear my mind is a chore by itself. My number one suggestion in this department is to, if you're a reader, pick up The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. Such a fantastic book. I haven't even finished all of it because, for those of you who know me, I don't read whole books. It's very hard for me to read whole books. But yeah, I have read a good portion of it and I get the gist of it. And it basically helps to talk you into understanding why the details in the brain are such a huge deal to us as humans in this day and age, and how to begin to unwind the patterning of that. Super powerful, very necessary, very important. Um, that said, I also think it's important to then start doing the shadow work around, lots of shadow work stuff today in our questions, guys. To start doing the shadow work around, why is it hard for me to sit in stillness? Um, and that's actually a really beautiful transition too, because that allows you to keep going with the mind and maybe do some journaling or some voice recording or some thinking or whatever. So you're still using the mind, but it makes it kind of transition into like learning what it is to feel that. So that you're not so starkly going from like thinking about everything all the time to suddenly feeling, because that's just not going to work out. So it can kind of bridge, the shadow work can kind of bridge the gap, right? To where you're able to like feel into your body. How am I feeling about this? How does it feel to not be thinking? What am I feeling physically? What am I feeling emotionally? And really checking in with yourself, and that allows the brain to still be going, but to like kind of still be doing that feeling work and that being work and allowing yourself to be in your own presence. And that will kind of ease you into being able to work more from that place of feeling, being, rather than from doing thinking. And so, yeah, it's going to make it easier for you to meditate at that point as well. And then to be able to understand the numbers and such. The other thing here, too, is once you start doing that work, you're not going to feel like you need to understand what the message is. It's just going to become a message. It's just going to become something that appears, and you're like, oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. I see you. I'm taking note of you. That's cool. Whether that's something you just take note of in the moment, or maybe you write it down, maybe you jot down what's going on around you, or something like that, just so you have some context if that's something that feels good to you. But you're just going to recognize it and notice it and say, cool, I see you, and move on. There isn't going to really be any need to like know or understand what that message is necessarily trying to tell you. Because there's going to be this innate trust that whatever the message is, it's going to be able to reach you at exactly the right moment in time when you need to hear it. So I hope that that's helpful. Quite a few people have joined on since we begun, so I want to just take a moment and remind y'all that at any point in time, if you would like to ask a question, you're more than welcome, whether you're on Facebook or Instagram, to pop it into the comment box. Currently, I am answering questions that were received anonymously beforehand, either via direct message on Instagram at Doorway to Self. For those of you watching on Facebook, you can follow me there if you're not already, or via private message on Facebook, or via my email, doorwaytoself@gmail.com. The window for anonymous messages has closed. It always closes an hour beforehand. So if you want to send an anonymous question, I'm more than happy to answer it, but I'll be answering it in the June Q&A when that comes around. I haven't had a date set for that just yet. Also, I want to take a moment too to just acknowledge that for the month of May, which is National Mental Health Awareness Month, And I've actually decided to extend this into June as well because it is such an important cause. Um, any donations that come in, this is a free event. This is all, I really, truly 100% believe in providing this psychic education free. I think it needs to be. It needs to be accessible to literally everybody, everywhere. Which is why I do it online too. But if you feel like you'd like to support the psychic education, and not only support the psychic education, but also support other people who are going through a really deep process of self-work, if you would like to donate to the Door Openers Scholarship Fund, if you'd like to donate at all to Doorway to Self, all of the proceeds are going to the Door Openers Scholarship Fund for the month of May and June. So if that's something that you would like to do, it would be greatly appreciated. There are a couple ladies in the group right now who have scholarship covered for this month, but they do not have it for next month. And I really want to see them continue on. So if that's something you'd like to do, you can definitely donate to donorbox.org. That's DONORBOX.org/doorway to self. And if you're on Instagram, the link for that is in my bio. If you're on Facebook, the link for that is in the description for this event. So definitely, please, any donations whatsoever. And I will also be matching for the month of May and June. I will also be matching any donations made as well. So if you donate $11, I will donate $11, and that's actually 1 month for somebody in the Facebook group. If you donate $50, I will donate $50, and that's an entire month for somebody of Zoom calls. So any donations you made, highly appreciated. Even if it's $2, that's that becomes 4 then, because I'm matching it, right? And if several people donate $2, if 11 people donate $2, that's somebody's month in the Facebook group. So I just wanted to put that out there as well. And so yeah, thank you so much to those of you who do decide to go ahead and do that, because yeah, it's immensely helpful to these women. Hey Carolyn, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Alrighty. All right. Love this one. Help! I love that it starts that way. Help! 3 exclamation points. I'm going to send you a pic. If you can see it, then maybe you can figure out why people are underwater. I have no clue yet. Others can see it when I show them, but some can't. Thanks. Cool. So this person emailed me, obviously. They sent me a picture of this actually really beautiful scene. And yes, I definitely saw like shadows of people under the water in this picture. So why am I bringing this question to the Q&A? I just loved this as a psychic exercise. I thought this was really cool, and cool that they were able to show certain people and other people not. Plus, there's another portion to this that I want to speak to, but we'll get there in a minute. So if certain people can see the people who are underwater, it's because they have clairvoyance, right? Not all of us have the same exact psychic abilities. This is why I do psychic diagnostic work, right? Because we can all, psychic diagnostics being helping to diagnose what psychic abilities you personally have. And if you don't know and you don't want to book a session with me and that's not something you're interested in, I have blog articles written about it. So go to doorwaytoself.com/blog and you can find all of them. Literally every single psychic ability that exists, you can find it on the blog and you can read about it and you can diagnose yourself if you freaking want. I don't care. I just want you to know how you operate. That's what I'm passionate about. How do you operate? And so this is a really cool example of that, of, some people operate in a way of being able to find, sorry, I just got distracted by a noise outside. I don't know what that is. Oh, somebody's emptying the garbage cans or something. Apartment life, y'all. Okay, back to center, back to center, back to center, back to center. Some people have the ability to see things, right? To use that clairvoyance, that psychic sight. Other people are not going to have that. And so this is actually a cool exercise for that this person was passing around this picture. And they're like, can you see these people? Can you see these people? That said, it's also an affirmation for you that, hey, guess what? You have psychic sight. You are able to see things energetically that might not be there physically. It also is a hint to you that you probably are a medium as well, because those people in that picture are very much dead. So you are able to see dead people. Of course, trying to avoid the whole I see dead people thing from, from the movies, but whatever. Sorry, guys, my sense of humor is I don't know why I just apologized for that. That was weird. Anyways, okay, I'm all over the place today. I want to speak to that actually in a moment because I feel like that's a question people have been having lately but haven't verbally asked. So I'm just going to psychically pull that out of the anonymous question box. But we'll get there in a second. So affirmation, you are clairvoyant. Affirmation, you are a medium. Affirmation, other people who see this are also clairvoyant. And the people who don't see it, they're not. And so that's why some people can and some people cannot. All of that said, I want to address this part. If you can see it, then maybe you can figure out why people are underwater. Why do I need to figure it out? Why do you need to figure it out? And I know I was just super blunt in that delivery, but it's true. Like, why do you need to figure it out? And I think this is, again, just like another like wild goose chase that we can get sent on. And it's a way that false light or that the darkness can really take us out of ourselves, right? Because we're like given these little like cool little clues and tips and hints, and like they're all mysterious and exciting, and so we chase them and we're like, I want to go, I want to understand why all of these dead people are underwater. Why? Like, what is that adding to your life? What is that doing for you? Like, sure, if you in your gut, if you in your entire being, if everything in your being is like, this is my purpose, I need to understand why I'm seeing these dead people under the water. Like, this is my purpose. This is why I'm here. Then by all means, do it. Go for it. Go down that rabbit hole. Chase that dragon. But if you ask yourself, like, is this actually leading me towards purpose? Is there something intentional about this for me? And the answer is no, which I can't tell you. That's for you to discern. Then I want to invite you to ask yourself, why do I need to know the answer to this? You don't. You can, again, it's just like that numbers sign, right? Like, you can acknowledge the numbers. You can acknowledge the people that you're seeing in that picture and say, wow, thanks for the affirmation that I'm clairvoyant. Thanks for the affirmation that I'm psychic. Thanks for the affirmation that I'm a medium. And that's all I needed to glean from this activity. Done. Book closed, shoved aside. So I know, like I said, I'm being extra blunt, but I honestly am just like done having any patience for this kind of thing, you guys. It's just like so many things take us away from our actual mission and our actual purpose, and I'm done seeing it happen. Okay, I'm seeing from John Bryan. Hey, John, thanks for being here. It is a rabbit hole. Mediums become stuck on being mediums and they don't progress. Yes, 100%. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, it becomes this thing that that there's this constant need for affirmation, and that's all because of the way that our society functions and the way that our society is set up to be like, oh, like you have to prove this stuff to other people and you have to prove this stuff to yourself. So it then becomes this battle of the ego rather than an actual spiritual journey towards inner trust and outer trust and feeling like, oh, okay, I don't need to understand. They don't need to understand. We can just be. Easy peasy. Emma says, can I book a session via the website XX? Oh, Emma, I would love to work with you. Thank you so much for that question. Yes, you can absolutely book a session via the website. I will tell you that this next week is completely full, and the week after that, I am actually going to be taken off. I am on vacation. Aside from door openers that Thursday night, I will be gone that whole week. Because it's time for me to regroup and spend some time with Soul Family and the lake. So, but after that, you're more than welcome to book. So we're looking at 2 weeks out. I think it's like the middle of June or something. But yes, I would love to work with you. I would love that. Yeah, if you go to doriaself.com/offerings, I think. I might be wrong about that. Anyways, the link is in my bio, Emma. And if you go to doorwaytoself.com, you click on the offerings button. It's right there. So yeah, you can book a basic session. And then there is one spot left in the journey program right now. So yeah, that's it. That is all that exists. Ooh, more in from John. Let's see. Thank you for sharing. Bless you. Oh, you're so welcome, John. Thank you. You say, when spirits come to me, I allow their messages. I do not concentrate on connecting to the dead. It happens when it needs to happen, just as God intended. What shall be, shall be. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. And I love that you brought that in too, John, because I think that that's also something that a lot of mediums will do, or highly attuned psychic people will do in general, is to attach to the information that they're receiving, and especially if it's for another person. And I definitely was guilty of this when I was younger too, of like, oh, like this information's coming in, and so I need to carry it with me for some reason. No, you don't need to attach to it. You don't need to carry it with you. It can just live. It can just be. So beautiful. Sounds like you're doing really lovely work. I appreciate that. Emma says yes, lovely, thank you. Can't wait. Me either. Yay! Awesome. Shannon, hey. Hi, love. So good to see you. All right, let's see. Back to these anonymous questions. All right, I think this is the very last one. I think I kind of jumped around here first, so I just want to make sure that I want to make sure I'm not missing anything. La la la. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Do I want to answer this first? Yes. Okay. Do people, in parentheses, who have thought about leaving their bodies, the earth, etc., become indifferent to deadlines and due dates? I have many due dates that I haven't started over the 3 days, yet I'm almost in a calm or even hyper arousal window. Like like a quote, couldn't care approach. I had a toxic relationship with deadlines, trying to earn value, but now it has done a 180. To society, I seem complacent or lazy, but I know I'm just keeping myself healthy in an unhealthy situation, asking unhealthy standards of me. I love that so much. Do you know if what I'm feeling is so called normal? Do you know of any strategies to increase my activation level? Yes! Such fantastic questions, you guys, this time around. I'm just like floored by y'all. Every month I am, though. Every month I am. Ooh, yeah, good crack. Okay. So firstly, I want to address the most important part about this most important part of this question. Do people who, in parentheses, who have thoughts about leaving? Firstly, I really want to say to this person, if you are having suicidal ideations or tendencies, or if you have a plan to kill yourself, please, 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 please seek help. I'mAlive.org is a really wonderful resource. IMALIVE.org. It's an online chat forum. I used to work with them. They're amazing. You just go to the website and you can type in the chat box, and somebody will be there as an interventionist to help you feel safe about being here, and ground you back down, and help you formulate a plan to keep yourself safe. Of course, 911, if you're in the US, is a an option that is probably necessary at many points in time. So if you feel like you're in dire danger and need to protect yourself, please call 911. Of course, there's always the National Suicide Hotline and things like that. So I just wanted to make note of that too, because I want to make sure you're safe first and foremost before anything. We need you here. You're part of this revolution, and if you leave, we're losing an angel, we're losing a soldier, and we need you. We really do. And more so than us, you need yourself. So I just wanted to throw that out there. So that's first. Second, um, yeah, so we're going to go back to this idea of the void energy, right? Living in kind of more of this ethereal place, living in these dimensions that are kind of outer. I really want to encourage you, if you connect with this question, or if this was your question, to listen to the Doorway to Self podcast. If you don't know, I do have a podcast. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, iHeartRadio, the list goes on. But there is an episode, I want to say it's maybe like 5 or 6 episodes ago, maybe more than that. I did an episode called Interdimensional Realities in Mental Health, and I really want to encourage you to check that episode out. I think it will be very, very helpful for you. So yes, the answer is absolutely. I find that people who tend to live in these more outer dimensions, myself included here, people who tend to live in the more outer dimensions, away from the 3D reality, or even the 5D reality, it's really hard for us to keep to deadlines, for several reasons. One, it doesn't feel natural to us. It doesn't feel as fluid. Two, part of that is because we're coming from this place where time doesn't really exist. And so it's hard to like wrap the brain around the idea of something needs to happen by a certain time. So there's that. There also is this idea of if you're like not feeling it energetically, it can be really hard to get work done. So there's that. Let me see what else. I love this line. To society, I seem complacent or lazy, but I know I'm just keeping myself healthy in an unhealthy society, asking unhealthy standards of me. I mean, if I could like frame that and like put it on every internet ever, like that, like, wow, what a phrase. And the answer is yes. You are not likely complacent or lazy. You are likely keeping yourself healthy in an unhealthy society, and that's yes, yes. So I want to encourage you to ask yourself, what are these deadlines for? And if they really are not resonating with you at all, is there a way that you can change your lifestyle? Is there a way that you can switch careers? Or if you're in school, is there a way to kind of like circumvent school deadlines somehow, or to make them feel less deadliney in a way where like maybe you're chipping away at things a little bit at a time each day, and really making them intentional, right? So for instance, when I was going through my master's program, I really dislike deadlines as well. And so I would just have to be really intentional about it, about like, oh, okay, I need to write this paper. How can I create a ritual around this writing process, right? Like, how can I make it so that I really feel like there's a lot of purpose behind writing this? And so, like, setting an intentionality around, like, when I write this piece, it's going to help me to wrap my mind around where I'm moving forward. Or when I write this piece, it's going to send energy out in tendrils to society to help it shift and change. Or when when I do this research for this portion of the paper, it's going to help stimulate my brain so that I am able to be more helpful societally thereafter. All of these are ways in which we can bring more intentionality behind the mundane. Um, and I think that that's also a huge part of the problem too, is like a lot of these kind of deadlines that we have, um or this project needs to be done by XYZ or whatever. A lot of those kinds of things feel icky to us because they feel obligatory or mundane or purposeless or something, and so a lot of it is just about injecting some reason for intentionality behind it. Um, so I think that's a good encouragement. And then also, like I said, maybe creating some sort of ritual around it too. So like when I had a deadline for class, like I always would make myself some dandelion tea. Like that was just the way that I knew, like, okay, and it sends signals to your brain too, right? Like this is simple brain chemistry also, of like when I drink my dandelion tea, when I taste that taste, I know that there's this ritual behind what I'm doing and there's this purpose in moving forward. And so I would drink my tea and then I'd be able to go to class and feel really intentional about it. So there are little bits. It's all about the little things, you guys. It doesn't have to be anything big. It's all about these little pieces. So I hope that that's really helpful for this person. I'm seeing things come in. Hey, Diane. So glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. And Lisa, thank you for being here. Lovely. All right. So we've got a couple minutes left here. If anybody has any questions, I think we have time for one final question here. And I just want to remind you guys, if you don't already know me, Rachel Leah Gerson here. Hi. Doorway to Self. I combine counseling techniques with psychic tools to help people understand mental health from a different perspective and really spark the mental health revolution here. I'm wishing all of you guys a beautiful National Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'm hoping to bring a different perspective to mental health awareness. And so there's all of that. If you want to donate to support the cause, donorbox.org/doorway to self. The link is in the description on Facebook. It's also in the link in my bio on Instagram. If you are not already following me on Instagram, it's at Doorway to Self. You can also follow at the Doorway to Self podcast, and you can follow my personal journey at rachel.leah.gerson as well. And on Facebook, be sure to like the Doorway to Self page as well. You can also sign up for my email list by going to doorwaytoself.com, which is where you can find all of my offerings, services, podcast, blog, etc. Those are all things. Okay, let's see. Cool. Not seeing any comments, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive into this last thing that I was going to speak to, which is the energy right now. Some of you might notice you've been really fatigued lately. If you have been feeling fatigued, it could be due to a lot of different things. What I have been understanding most out of anything are three major things. Four major things that are going on. One is we are in the midst of the Pleiadian Stargate right now. What does that mean? What is that? The Pleiades is not a constellation. It's a cluster of stars near the constellation Taurus. It's 7 stars. Actually, it's like millions of stars, but 7 visible stars. And this star cluster is said to basically help with psychic awakenings and really help us to go into this void place that I've been speaking about throughout this hour. And so if you find yourself kind of drifting in and out of the 3D, if you find yourself needing to meditate a lot, if you find yourself kind of like shooting out your body, maybe even completely dissociating, if you find yourself like it's really hard to concentrate or you're just so tired, this is a huge reason for this, is this Pleiadian Stargate. So what is a Stargate? It's when the sun aligns with a star or a star system in our sky. So what's happening right now is literally the light of our sun is shining the Pleiades down on us. And so we're being infiltrated by all of that energetic coding. So that's why we're experiencing all of this. We're also about to enter a Mercury retrograde as well. So we're experiencing what I call the shade effects of Mercury, which is like right before Mercury turns retrograde, Mercury being the planet of communication, technology, and short-term travel. Right before it starts to appear like it's moving backwards from the Earth, it starts to have kind of some effects. So if we can kind of think of it as, if you're driving a car and you're passing somebody riding a bike, that person on the bike is in front of you, and then all of a sudden when you meet them, it kind of looks like they're stopped a little bit, and then as you move forward, it looks like they're moving backwards from you. And that's kind of a good metaphor to understand what retrograde planetary motion does. And so when that bike is ahead of you, that's that kind of like natural motion. When you're meeting it in the car, that's kind of what the shade looks like. It's kind of like that planet is just like stopped and paused right there. And then as we pass it, it appears as though it's moving backwards from us. And then eventually we find ourselves at a red light and that bike whizzes right past us again and we're in regular motion. So yeah, right now we're in the shade, and I personally tend to feel that shade even more strongly than the retrograde. But you might not. So it just, I think, is dependent upon who you are as a human and how it affects you and all that good jazz. So yeah, just keep an eye on yourself and know that that's also in play. The third thing in play right now is we're coming up on a big eclipse. This is the first eclipse of 2021. It's happening in the sign of Sagittarius on Wednesday, this Wednesday the 26th. It's a lunar eclipse, full moon eclipse. And so that's also going to be kind of putting us in this in-between space as well, right? Lots of energy just like raising and happening right now. So that's all going on. It's also a big portal as well. Our last full moon eclipse in Sagittarius happened towards the end of the year last year, but even more so, I'm feeling this portal into the year before, which was actually right around the time when all of this stuff was going on with the Black Lives Matter movement and all of that and all of the protests and everything. So it's kind of throwing us into this portal, and now we're seeing all of this stuff come up politically with the conflict in the Middle East and all of that as well. And so we're seeing kind of again this rise in polarity that's happening. And when there's a rise in polarity in the collective, it can oftentimes lead to fatigue, and it can also lead to this want to kind of escape and not be here. And so I want to invite you, with all four of these things going on, with the Pleiadian Stargate, the Mercury retrograde, the lunar eclipse that's coming, and this societal polarity that's happening, I want to invite you to take the time you need to rest, to ground, to really get in your body, to really get onto the earth. And that might mean unplugging from social media. It might mean telling your friends, no, I don't want to talk about this, or I don't want to engage in this, or, whatever, or your family. It might mean, and not only, oh my gosh, not only with the Middle East, there's also everything going on with the vaccines and the masks and there's so much polarity happening right now. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, just give yourself permission to retreat, to step back, to not engage. Give yourself permission to come into yourself, to come into your center, Give yourself permission to use your own discernment and to find what you believe is your own truth. Give yourself permission to be in the middle if you want to and need to, right? You don't have to choose a side. You can be both and. That's okay also. Um so yeah, I think we've come to this place where it's like either you are an anti-vaxxer or you're not. And that's like, you can be in the middle. You can be somebody who gets every other vaccine but not this one, or you can be someone who doesn't get the vaccine right now but gets it 3 years from now, or you can be someone who isn't against Israel or against Palestinians. You can be somebody who's for both. You can be someone who puts on your mask sometimes and sometimes not. You can be in the middle, and that is okay. You don't have to pick a side. And I feel like everybody's being pressured to pick all of these sides right now. And what it's doing is it's dividing us even further. It's taking us away from our centers. And it is also, again, feeding this narrative that the middle can't exist, that this place of the void is avoidable, and that it has no place here. And the void absolutely has a place here. And that's our biggest medicine right now, you guys, is to lean into that middle. And so I really want to encourage all of you to do that, whatever that looks like for you. Or to at least use your discernment around it and understand that it's an option. Let's see. Lisa says the fatigue is for real. Thanks for giving it a source. You're so welcome. Yeah, I know it is. Before I tuned on tonight. Okay, I need to. That's a message for somebody or something, or maybe me. Probably both. Both and the middle. Jeez, it's everywhere, you guys. Yeah, before I turned on, I can't speak anymore. This is how I know I need to close out, y'all. Yeah, so, before I came on live today, I heard that was a question that needed to be answered, even though it wasn't asked. So, Susan says, I would love to hear more about the eclipse. I had a very powerful dream about it. Fantastic question, Susan. So I have it on my calendar for the next couple of days to be working on the article around that. And I actually was just about to close out for today, because I've been here for just over an hour at this point. But definitely keep your eye on your email for that article to come out. I'll also obviously be posting it on social media as well when that article is done. But I really appreciate that question. Thank you. And I love that you had a powerful dream about it. Yeah, oh my gosh, I started tuning into it yesterday. I spent some time under the moon in the Arb yesterday, and it was like, oh my gosh, there is some powerful stuff in this moon coming up. Like, it's like, whew. Anyways, I am so appreciative to all of you who have joined today. I'm so appreciative for all of your anonymous questions and your not anonymous questions. And oh my gosh, happy National Mental Health Awareness Month. If you haven't already, like I said, follow me on Instagram at Doorway to Self, at the Doorway to Self podcast, and at Rachel.Leah.Gerson. You can also follow me on Facebook, Doorway to Self, and the Doorway to Self podcast. You can go to my website, doorwaytoself.com, to find the podcast, to find the blog, to find all of my offerings, and to sign up for the email list. And I will be posting this replay on YouTube within the next couple of days with timestamps, so you can find what questions were asked when, for your convenience as well. So I think that's all. And again, if you want to donate and support a door opener who's on scholarship right now, it'd be very much appreciated. And you can do that at donorbox.org/doorway to self. Link is in my bio on Instagram and in the event page on Facebook. So I love you guys so, so much. I am sending you eternal amounts of love, and I hope you have an incredible rest of your weekend.